Good morning. Welcome to NewsWare's Trade Talk for Friday, August 21st. Let's get into the action. Take a look at the S&Ps, which are higher by 0.43% this morning. We're showing green, which is nice. The oil prices are kind of easing. Treasury yields are pulling back, from these multi-decade highs following the Treasury Department's buyback decision. That program is relatively small when you compare it to the 32 trillion Treasury market. But it does, it doesn't really, or it does little to address the structural forces behind it. Heavy debt issuance, widening fiscal deficits, elevated term premiums. That's really what's causing to push the yields higher. But next week, we do have that Jackson Hole Economic Symposium, and, we might get some clues, some new ideas for the market, from the speeches that are going on. Fed Chairman Kevin Walsh, I believe, is scheduled to speak on Friday. The key economic data point for today is going to be that PMI composite flash report. In corporate news, Broadcom is seeking more than $60 billion in debt financing for its latest AI infrastructure deal, with the potential financing reaching as much as $100 billion. Citi, Morgan Stanley, Goldman Sachs, JP Morgan, they're all reportedly involved in preparations for that Anthropic IPO. That's something to keep an eye on. Spotify, they also announced that their board this morning approved an additional $1.5 billion share increase to its stock repurchasing program. On the earnings front, we got BJ's, we got BEKE and Ross Stores, ROSD all trading higher following their results. OSIS and FLO are trading lower. Monday morning, we got PDD. We got XPEV coming out, but next week, remember, we got Salesforce, we got NVIDIA. They're both scheduled to report earnings next week, so we got a lot of good ones coming up. Taking a look over in Europe, and we're showing the DAX is higher by 0.29%. Germany's private sector continues to expand modestly in August, based on the data this morning. Strong rebound in manufacturing offset another contraction in services. You're seeing gains in techs and utilities in that index this morning. The FTSE is higher by 0.2% this morning, supported by mining stocks. Precious metals and industrial metal prices are pushing higher. Financial stocks are also moving higher. In Paris, the CAC is up 0.14% with gains in autos and financial stocks. In Asia last night, I'd say mixed to higher. I mean, the Nikkei did fall 0.3%. But they had their inflation data came out, which rose for the second straight month in July due to higher energy costs. This is putting pressure on the BOJ to act on rates in September. They could get a rate hike. In Hong Kong, the Hang Seng finished higher by 1.21% with gains in technology, producer manufacturing, and financial stocks leading that advance. In China, the Shanghai was higher by 0.04%. Gains in AI and semiconductor shares. Then we turn our attention over to oil, and oil remains a mixed bag. I mean, it's currently trading higher. I mean, it was lower. I mean, we're seeing WTI at $86.97 a barrel. We're seeing Brent at $94.09 a barrel. I mean, it was down 1%, but oil remains on track for, second consecutive weekly gain. We're talking about 6% this week. You got the U.S.-Iran conflict, which shows no sign of abating. The Strait of Hormuz situation remains unclear. Vessels really aren't transmitting that strait. The U.S. is planning on, further isolating Iran and its economy. President Trump is supposed to be making his comments, which he calls economic D-Day, on Monday. The rhetoric, sends a strong message of strength, but, President Trump will do anything to end this conflict. But if he's going to start taxing the people that do business with Iran, you got to remember that's China. China buys 90% of Iran's oil. So you really can't do that. So I don't see that this announcement on Monday is really going to have any teeth to it. But we'll wait and see. But oil was lower by 1%. It has turned and is now in the green. We're talking earnings, and we're starting off with Ross Stores, ROST. They beat by 72 cents on higher revenue last night when that report came out. You look at that stock this morning, it's up 7.55%. We're talking BEKE, KE Holdings. You look at the stock this morning, it is trading higher. It's up 4.89%. They also delivered a strong earnings beat. In BJ's, the superstore, I guess, is what should we call it? I mean, listen, stock's trading up 2.61%. They beat by 19 cents on good revenue. So yeah, relatively positive on the earnings front. PDD Holdings, they're coming out Monday morning. Their EPS is $2.85, $2.85. Expected move is 7.82% when they release. In terms of economic reports at 9:45, we get the PMI composite flash data coming out. At 1 p.m., we get the Baker Hughes rig count set to be released. In terms of news hitting the tape this morning, Apple lays off 60 employees from its VR development team. Interesting. You got to talk about Google, Meta. A New Jersey teen withdrew her test case lawsuit against Meta, Google, and Snap without payment. Interesting. Tesla recalls nearly 3 million vehicles in China over safety issues. NVIDIA, Poolside AI, signs a $6 billion licensing deal with NVIDIA, plus a $1 billion investment. Merck continues to trade higher. Had that positive news on Wednesday about their team up with Moderna mRNA on a breakthrough in that phase 3 trial, which really was astounding. I mean, it was the first time you've seen a 100% effective rate in a cancer drug. So, yeah, positive there. In terms of guidance news, BJ's Wholesale, they raised their full year 2026 adjusted EPS view to $4.60 to $4.80. Street estimate has it at $4.55. So, yeah, that's a nice uptick. What else do we have here? We got buyback news. Spotify upsized its share repurchasing program by $1.5 billion in terms of catalyst calls. We got to talk about Citibank. They upgraded OI Glass, ticker OI, Oscar India. They gave it a $9 price target, and they opened up a 90-day positive catalyst watch on the stock. But for today, I got to go, for my pick of the day, I got to go with Google, ticker GOOG. I mean, the news about the team dropping the lawsuit is positive. You look at yesterday's call volume, 103, 103, 105 calls versus 80,620 puts. That's a put call ratio of 0.78, very positive. Open interest, 1 million to 800K. That's positive. Now, the major brokers have been lowering price targets, but they still like the stock. So, listen, if I can get in the 334 range, I think that'd be phenomenal. And I think we'll make the 1% off of there. But my pick of the day is Google, GOOG. Okay, now we're going to move on to the stories hot off the press, see if we see anything exciting happening this morning. Let's see, what do we got here? Samsung plots mega buyback after AI windfall. Uber fined $966 million in the Netherlands for automated driving suspensions. Carl Icahn reduces his stake in JetBlue to 3.32%. Some layoffs at JP Morgan, highest level since 2015. Abbott Labs, they came out with some positive news. What was it? ABT. Partial agreement reached over litigation over its specialty formula for preterm infants. Anheuser-Busch, BUD, investing $13 million in a New York brewery. Robinhood moving higher. Latest crypto news run regulations still benefiting the shares. Ross Stores expansion's on track. They opened up 47 stores during Q2. Nice. All right, that's all I'm seeing. Okay, now we're going to talk about yesterday's pick of the day, which was BEKE, Boy Edward Kilo Edward KE Holdings. Listen, the stock opened up at $16.83. Now, that was below my entry point. But then during the day, it hit $17.18, which there's your 1%. But you look at it this morning, it was trading over $18. So, yeah, that 1% was definitely there. That was a good one. That was a nice call. All right, traders, that concludes today's NewsWare's Trade Talk podcast. You guys know what to do. Let's go out there and let's make some green today.